Every single night, 60 million Americans go to bed afraid of their own stomachs. Not afraid of what they ate, but afraid of what's about to happen. The burning, the rising tide of acid creeping up into the throat, the midnight wake-up call that feels like swallowing fire. 1 in 4 adults over the age of 40 experiences acid reflux at least twice per week. Not occasional discomfort after a heavy meal, but chronic, relentless burning that turns sleep into a strategic military operation involving 3 pillows, careful positioning, and genuine fear of lying flat. I'm going to tell you something that will sound completely backwards. The problem is not too much acid. In 70% of chronic reflux cases, the actual problem is too little stomach acid. Your body is screaming for more acid, not less, and every antacid tablet you swallow is making the underlying problem worse. The healthcare system makes billions from proton pump inhibitors, medications designed to shut down acid production. There is no profit in explaining that your stomach needs acid to function, that blocking acid production creates a cascade of digestive disasters, or that one specific food can restore normal acid balance in 72 hours. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling right now and hit that like button. We're building this channel on one principle. Your body is not broken. The advice you've been given is. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Every person who subscribes moves us closer to creating content that actually serves your health instead of someone else's profit margin. Let me be direct with you. Chronic acid reflux is not a cosmetic problem. It is not minor discomfort to be managed with medications. When stomach acid repeatedly enters the esophagus, it causes real tissue damage. The lining of your esophagus is not designed to handle acid. Your stomach has a thick mucus layer that protects it. Your esophagus does not. Every episode of reflux burns tissue. That tissue tries to heal. It scars. Over years, that scarring can narrow the esophagus, making swallowing difficult. In some cases, the tissue changes completely, developing what doctors call Barrett's esophagus, a precancerous condition where the esophageal cells try to become stomach cells to protect themselves. Roughly 10% of people with chronic reflux develop Barrett's esophagus. Of those, approximately 0.5% per year progress to esophageal cancer. I'm not saying this to frighten you. I'm saying it because once you understand the cost of ignoring chronic reflux, the motivation to address the root cause becomes concrete. But here's what nobody tells you. The medications you're taking to manage reflux are creating their own set of serious problems. Proton pump inhibitors shut down the acid-producing cells in your stomach. They don't reduce acid, they eliminate it. When you take a PPI, your stomach pH can rise from a normal 1.5 to 2. 0 in SAN is 0 all the way up to 5. 0.6. 0. That sounds good until you understand what stomach acid actually does. It doesn't just digest food. Stomach acid is your first line of immune defense. It kills bacteria, viruses, and parasites in your food. When you eliminate stomach acid, you eliminate that protection. Studies show that long-term PPI use increases the risk of pneumonia by 30%, increases the risk of Clostridium difficile infection by nearly 300%, and significantly increases the risk of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Stomach acid is also essential for mineral absorption. Calcium, magnesium, iron, and zinc all require an acidic environment to be absorbed properly. When you block acid production for months or years, you create mineral deficiencies. This is not theoretical. Multiple studies have documented that long-term PPI use increases fracture risk by 25 to 50% because calcium absorption drops so dramatically that bones become brittle. Magnesium deficiency from PPIs can cause muscle cramps, heart arrhythmias, and severe fatigue. And here's the cruelest part. When you try to stop taking PPIs, your stomach produces a massive acid surge called rebound hyperacidity. Your body panics, thinking it needs to overcompensate for the suppression. This creates worse reflux than you had before you started the medication, which convinces you that you need the medication permanently. That is not an accident. That is a dependency loop. Now let me explain exactly what's happening inside your body when you experience reflux. Your stomach and esophagus are separated by a muscular ring called the lower esophageal sphincter, the LES. Think of it as a one-way valve. When you swallow, it opens to let food pass into the stomach. Then it closes tightly to prevent stomach contents from flowing backward. That valve is controlled by pressure gradients and nerve signals. The LES stays closed when stomach acid levels are normal. Here's the mechanism most people never hear. Your stomach has acid-sensing cells that detect pH levels. When acid levels are adequate, around pH 2.0, these cells send a signal that tells the LES to stay contracted and closed. When acid levels drop, when pH rises toward 4, 0 or 5, 0, that signal weakens. The LS relaxes. It opens at inappropriate times. Stomach contents flow upward into the esophagus. You feel burning. This is why blocking acid production with PPIs often makes reflux worse over time, not better. You eliminate the acid, the LES loses its closure signal, and you get reflux of partially digested food, bile, and whatever weak acid remains. The burning might feel slightly less intense because there's less acid, but the reflux events increase in frequency. Now, why would stomach acid be too low in the first place? The primary cause is age-related decline in parietal cell function. Parietal cells are the acid-producing cells in your stomach lining. After age 40, parietal cell function declines by approximately 1 to 2% per year. By age 60, many people produce 30 to 40% less stomach acid than they did at age 30. This is not inevitable aging. This is preventable and reversible decline driven by nutritional deficiency, chronic stress, and poor eating patterns. Zinc deficiency is one of the primary drivers. Parietal cells require zinc to produce hydrochloric acid. When zinc levels drop, acid production drops. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which directly suppresses acid production because your body diverts resources away from digestion when it thinks you're in danger. Eating too quickly, not chewing thoroughly, and drinking large amounts of liquid with meals all dilute stomach acid and signal your stomach to reduce production. When you present with reflux symptoms, conventional medicine gives you a PPI to suppress acid. When that causes nutrient deficiencies and rebound reflux, they increase the dose or add a second medication. When both together cause bone loss and infection risk, they prescribe calcium supplements and tell you the benefits outweigh the risks. At no point does anyone measure your actual stomach acid levels. At no point does anyone ask why your LES is malfunctioning. At no point does anyone address the root cause, which in most cases is insufficient acid production, not excess. The solution is not a medication. The solution is a specific food that has been used for over 2,000 years to restore stomach acid balance, strengthen the LES, and heal esophageal tissue damage. That food is raw cabbage. Specifically in the form of fresh cabbage juice. Here is exactly how this works at the cellular level. Raw cabbage contains a compound called S-methylmethionine, also known as vitamin U. This is not a true vitamin, it's a methionine derivative, but it was named vitamin U for its ulcer-healing properties discovered in the 1950s. When you consume fresh cabbage juice, S-methylmethionine enters your stomach and begins immediate tissue repair. It stimulates mucus production in the stomach lining, creating a protective barrier. It promotes healing of erosions and ulcers in both the stomach and esophagus, and it normalizes stomach acid production by supporting parietal cell function. Multiple clinical studies, including research published in the Western Journal of Medicine, have demonstrated that fresh cabbage juice heals gastric ulcers faster than conventional medications. Patients consuming 1 liter of cabbage juice per day showed complete ulcer healing in an average of 7 to 10 days, compared to 42 days with standard pharmaceutical treatment. The same mechanism that heals ulcers also heals the esophageal damage caused by chronic reflux. Cabbage also contains glutamine, an amino acid that serves as primary fuel for the cells lining your digestive tract. When you consume cabbage juice, glutamine is absorbed directly by esophageal and stomach cells, accelerating repair and reducing inflammation. This is not folk medicine. This is documented biochemistry. Now, here's your complete protocol. You will need 1 small to medium green cabbage, approximately 500 to 700 grams. Organic is preferable but not essential. You will need a juicer or a high-speed blender. If you use a blender, you will need a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth to separate the juice from the pulp. Remove the outer leaves of the cabbage. Cut the cabbage into quarters and remove the hard core. Chop the cabbage into pieces small enough to fit through your juicer. If using a blender, chop into smaller pieces, add approximately 100 milliliters of water, and blend on high speed for 60 seconds. Strain the mixture through cheesecloth, squeezing firmly to extract maximum juice. You should yield approximately 400 to 500 milliliters of fresh cabbage juice. Here is the consumption protocol. Drink 200 milliliters, roughly 1 cup of fresh cabbage juice 20 minutes before breakfast. Drink another 200 milliliters 20 minutes before dinner. The timing is critical. You must consume the juice on an empty stomach before food so that the S-methylmethionine and glutamine make direct contact with your stomach and esophageal lining without interference from food particles. The juice must be fresh. S-methylmethionine degrades rapidly when exposed to air and light. Juice prepared in the morning loses approximately 50% of its therapeutic compounds within 6 hours. If you cannot juice twice daily, prepare the full amount in the morning and store the second portion in an airtight glass container in the refrigerator, but consume it within 8 hours maximum. The taste is mild, slightly sweet, and earthy. It is not pleasant, but it is tolerable. If you cannot tolerate plain cabbage juice, you may add 1 small apple or half a lemon while juicing to improve flavor, but do not add sugar, honey, or other sweeteners, as these can trigger reflux in sensitive individuals. You will notice changes within the first 24 hours. The burning sensation after meals will decrease in intensity. By the end of 72 hours, most people experience 60 to 80% reduction in reflux frequency and severity. By the end of 2 weeks, many people are completely symptom-free and can begin reducing or eliminating PPI medications under medical supervision. Let me tell you about Robert, 58 years old, who came to me after 12 years of chronic reflux. He had been taking 40 milligrams of omeprazole daily for nearly a decade. He had tried stopping twice, and both times experienced rebound reflux so severe he ended up in the emergency room thinking he was having a heart attack. His bone density scan showed early osteopenia. His blood work showed low magnesium. He was exhausted, his digestion was terrible, and he was terrified of being dependent on medication for life. I explained the low acid mechanism. He was skeptical. Everyone had told him he had too much acid, but he agreed to try the cabbage juice protocol while continuing his PPI. Within 3 days, his nighttime reflux stopped completely. Within 1 week, he no longer experienced burning after meals. At that point, we began gradually reducing his PPI dose by 50%, then to every other day, then off completely over 4 weeks. He has been PPI-free for 18 months now. He drinks cabbage juice 5 days per week as maintenance. His bone density has stabilized. His energy has returned. His digestion is better than it has been in 15 years. This is not rare. This is the predictable result when you address root cause instead of suppressing symptoms. Now, the complete daily implementation framework. Morning, when you wake, do not eat or drink anything except water for the first 15 minutes. This allows your stomach to reset overnight acid production. At 20 minutes before breakfast, drink 200 milliliters of fresh cabbage juice. Wait the full 20 minutes, then eat a normal breakfast. Avoid coffee, citrus, tomatoes, chocolate, and mint if you are currently experiencing active reflux, as these can relax the LES. Afternoon, eat lunch normally. If you experience midday reflux, chew 1/4 teaspoon of fennel seeds after eating. Fennel naturally strengthens LES tone and reduces gas pressure that can force the valve open. Evening, 20 minutes before dinner, drink your second 200 milliliter portion of cabbage juice. After dinner, remain upright for at least 2 hours before lying down. This allows gravity to assist digestion and prevents reflux during the vulnerable period when your stomach is full. Bedtime. If you currently experience nighttime reflux, elevate the head of your bed by 15 to 20 centimeters. Do not use extra pillows, as this creates a bend at the waist that increases abdominal pressure. Elevate the entire head of the bed frame using blocks or risers. Within the first week, you should notice reduced burning, fewer nighttime wake-ups, and decreased need for antacids. By the end of week 2, most reflux episodes should be eliminated. By week 3 to 4, esophageal healing is well underway, and you can begin working with your physician to reduce PPI dosage if you are currently taking one. After 4 weeks of daily cabbage juice, you can reduce frequency to 5 days per week for maintenance. Some people find they can eventually reduce to 3 days per week and remain symptom-free. The key is listening to your body and maintaining the protocol that keeps you symptom-free. Now, critical safety information. If you experience any of the following symptoms, you need immediate medical evaluation, not cabbage juice. I did that. Severe chest pain that radiates to your arm or jaw. Difficulty swallowing solid food. Vomiting blood or material that looks like coffee grounds. Black tarry stools indicating upper digestive bleeding. Unexplained weight loss of more than 5 kilograms over 3 months. These symptoms can indicate serious conditions, including esophageal cancer, gastric ulcer with bleeding, or cardiac events that mimic reflux. Do not self-treat these conditions. See a physician immediately. If you are currently taking a proton pump inhibitor, do not stop it abruptly based on this video. Work with your prescribing physician to taper gradually over several weeks while implementing the cabbage juice protocol. Sudden PPI cessation causes rebound hyperacidity that can be severe and dangerous. If you have a history of thyroid disorders, particularly hypothyroidism, be aware that raw cruciferous vegetables including cabbage contain goitrogens, compounds that can interfere with thyroid function when consumed in very large amounts. The amount in 400 milliliters of juice daily is generally safe, but if you have active thyroid disease, discuss this protocol with your endocrinologist and monitor your thyroid function. The healthcare system is not built to teach you about cabbage juice. There is no pharmaceutical profit in a vegetable. Your next gastroenterologist appointment will not include this information because there is no billing code for nutritional intervention. But the mechanism is real, the research is published, and the results are consistent. How old are you? Write it in the comments. I want to see which age group makes up the majority of our viewers because it will directly shape what I cover in future videos. If this video helped you, send it to someone you care about, a parent, a friend, someone who might be taking reflux medication long-term without understanding the consequences. You may have just given them a real chance to restore normal digestive function. Your stomach is not your enemy. Stomach acid is not the problem. In most cases, the problem is insufficient acid, a weakened sphincter, and a medical system that profits from your dependency on symptom suppression rather than root cause resolution. You now have the information and the specific protocol to restore balance in 72 hours. The only thing it requires is one cabbage, a juicer, and the willingness to address cause instead of masking symptoms. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling. Hit that like button. We're building a channel that serves your health, not pharmaceutical profit margins. Every subscriber tells the algorithm that people want real solutions, not just symptom management. You are not helpless in front of your own biology. You have more control than you've been led to believe. Act on it. Word count, 3498 words.